What's up, everyone? This is Louis Lecca here with Nuke the Fridge, and we have a special guest. That's right, Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool himself, and a bunch of other surprises right after this. Wow, what an amazing show we have here for you guys here on Nuke the Fridge via YouTube, the official channel for nukethefridge.com. And I have a few friends I want to introduce to you before we introduce Rob. And first of all, I want to thank Kelvin Chavez from Splash Report for actually organizing this. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, buddy?
Wow, so much. Come on, man.
No, hey, listen, thanks for doing this.
I need to tickle you or something to up that energy. Come on. And then I have Rob Sanchez from the Atomic Wire. What's
How you
up,
doing, buddy?
All right, and the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Liefeld. You guys know him as the creator of Deadpool. Thanks for coming on here, man.
We got ourselves a gangbang here.
It's funny you said that because earlier today I literally texted back and I said, yeah, gangbang.
Yeah,
oh my God.
You sign on for one, you get three. I love it. Let's do it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to do the first question if you guys don't mind, and then I'm going to give it mostly to you all. But I'm going to start off by congratulating you on Deadpool, Batter Blood. It's off the hook, man. Congratulations on that, bro.
Sir. Yeah, we sold out. That's all. I mean, all you want is to put a book out and find out that demand, exceeded. And we sold out. We put a lot out there, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this morning. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to ask one question first, guys. The question everyone's asking Rob this is viral.
Yeah.
Pineapple on your pizza or no?
I'm not a pineapple pizza guy. Sorry.
All right. That's fair enough.
I'm not the guy.
All right, guys, go for it.
Well, I got to say real quickly, it's true. Actually, I went to Jeffrey's Comics in Torrance. So shout out to the guys from Jeffrey's Comics in Torrance on my way home to pick up a copy. And they're like, oh, no, it's sold out within 2 days. So I'm going to have to hit Frank & Sons this weekend and see if I, find a copy there.
Good luck. I wish you all the best. I want it in your hand. I want you to get a copy.
All righty. All right, Kelvin, you want to start?
No, I just want to say, I haven't spoken to you in a long time, and it's good to, thank you for coming on this little video that we're doing. We're buds, and I appreciate it, very much.
Hey, thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
No, and I wanted to know, with all this stuff that's going on in Hollywood, what do you think about this, the writer's strike and stuff like that? How's it impacted?
Yeah, well, it crushes me, honestly. The whole thing, the fact. I mean, I think the most effective thing is when they put out all those, giant CEO compensation packages, and they can't carve out some for all these brilliant minds that give us these incredible worlds, characters, dialogue, twists, turns. It crushes me. I hope that. There's an urgency, a sense of urgency, is renewed within the corporations who realize, we can't live without these incredibly talented people. I was talking, my wife and I, we were up to dinner last night, and I said, writing is the rawest form of this creativity. You don't get anything without the idea, the written page. We all know the old adage. We're all giant movie heads, comic book people. If it's not on the page, it's not on the screen, period. And you can talk about AI and all that crap, and I'm glad it's on the table and they're trying to rectify that but the bottom line is, and this is what I'm going to go back to. So my two favorite filmmakers of the last 30 plus years are Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino, and no duh, those guys are great. Everybody loves them, but the reason we love them. And the reason I love them, I'll tell you right now, beyond the way they move the camera and they tell stories, those guys both love to tell stories set in the 1970s. Whether it's Licorice Pizza, whether it's Boogie Nights, whether it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And the thing is, you can tell when I sit down and PTA takes me to Licorice Pizza and I'm back in 1976. Well, I grew up in Southern California in 1976. I can see that everywhere. I remember how that architecture looked. I know that they drove to that neighborhood to make sure that those houses looked exactly like they looked in 1976. And then the entire, story and the characters come with that sensibility. A computer will never have lived in 1976 or feudal Japan. Okay, like Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, like Liefeld. He didn't live in feudal Japan, but you know what? His family members did, and he crafted that story in 1956 from stories that were handed down. And which obviously then gave us the Magnificent Seven and so many. I mean, look, I look at Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, and I'm like, you don't get that without Seven Samurai. And these computers will never be able to, they're just going to go and grab some World War II reference point, right? But they're not going to give you Dunkirk. They're not going to give you Nolan's particular style and work in all the clever characteristics and it's so weird that they think that the computers are able to do this, and they, you can tell me whatever you want, but a computer will not have ever lived in those times and will never be able to bring me those stories. And so that's just one example. It's not the example, but so yeah, I am in solidarity. I have a son who's an actor. Obviously they voted to authorize a strike, so it's like I know the Directors Guild got a deal they were satisfied with. That felt also a little like the studio's shoving it in the writer's face, but you want everybody to do well, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I hope the sense of urgency returns and the importance of all of these brilliant writers are recognized, and everything can resume with better terms. There you go.
Hey, listen, I want to kind of change the subject a little bit. And obviously, we're going to talk about Deadpool. But, this morning I'm thinking, you're a Gen Xer, right, Rob? Just like I am. Yes. I'm a Gen Xer. Yes. And I kind of tease people and I tell people that short of the greatest generation of World War II, I'm going to say the Gen Xers are the second greatest generation of our time.
I agree.
I don't think a non-Gen Xer would have created Deadpool, right?
Okay.
Would you agree with that? I'm just thinking that today's nothing wrong with the millennials and the Gen Zers, but there's something very Gen X for me when I listen to his humor, the politically incorrectness of Deadpool. So
look, I was sent. The school that I went to in grade school was attached to my grandfather's church, and my dad was kind of the assistant minister, and then he was the administrator of the school. At the church, he had like second position, like the vice president. And but the school was especially again in the 70s, they had a high school even across the street, K through 12. It looks little now, but at the time, man, it was every class was packed, every class was full. I got sent to the principal's office because my dad wasn't the principal, he was the administrator. And that's back when you got spanked, okay? I got the paddle.
The paddle.
The principal, I went with my two buddies, and you dropped your drawers, and you got the SWAT with the paddle. And why I'm telling you this is I got sent repeatedly for being a smartass, talking back, challenging authority. I threw firecrackers.
That's a childhood right there.
I threw firecrackers at the chalkboard while the teacher was like, and I'm like the administrator of the school's kid, right? And at one point, a new principal came in, and he tried to get me expelled. He literally tried to get, like, my dad was still the administrator, but he tried to work it so that I got expelled. What I'm saying is all of that has worked its way into the anti-authoritarianism of Deadpool. He will not, but certainly then I certainly didn't, break the fourth wall with Deadpool. I did break the fourth wall with my character Blood Wolf 4 years before Deadpool broke the fourth wall, because that was something that came around later. But the anti-hero, I think, maybe was a real product of our age. I think the anti-hero, much of that does, I think, have to do with our age. And Spicoli. Look at Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You go see the Spicoli. He's going to, challenge authority, challenges Mr. Hand. This is our time. Okay, I'm having pizza on our time. I remember as a kid sitting up going, I like this train of thought. Look, so what you're saying is with the Gen Xers, because here's the deal. I have kids like 20, 23, 21, and 19 now, and they're all They're all softies, man. You know what? And here's the deal. Like, I love turning on. My favorite thing to do, and I'll wrap this segment up, is with. I said, this is gonna blow my kids' brains. This is gonna blow my kids' brains. And I went on Max. Well, it was HBO Max when I did it. Yeah. Went on the menu, and I clicked on a movie that I probably watched 20 plus times in about a 2-week span when it debuted. When it made its way to basic cable, and everything my parents did backfired. They're like, we got cable, but we only got it for the news, and we didn't get any of those movie stations. And I got home, and I'm like, well, let me see. Oh, we got the movie station, we got MTV. My parents are stupid. They got the wrong package. I got all of this shit, right? I even got Skinamax. This is like 1982, 1983, right? But I watched this movie, which to this day I do not like how it escapes cancellation. And 5 minutes in, my son turned to me and said, I can't believe they made this movie. I'm like, of course you can't, because you live in this weirdo softy time, but that movie is Blazing Saddles.
I knew it.
There is no, yes. And when Slim Pickens in the first 5 sentences would be canceled, and maybe he would not even exist in today. Like, the first 5 things he says are horrendous, okay? And now my favorite thing is all the warnings before, this movie is racially insensitive, sexist to women, da-da-da. I'm like, well, then why are you playing it? You should, Kellen, you should pull it up and see all the...
No, I know. I watched...
Trading Places. Trading Places has the same thing because, Dan Aykroyd is in blackface, and so, I'm like, I can't even, and then we all saw what they're doing to, what is the Gene Hackman movie? It's great car chase.
French Connection?
Yes, they're editing. I'm telling you, man, some of these movies, like, there's a lot of people clutching their pearls, right? We can't have movies. I mean, Blazing Saddles is literally just going to be Mongo hitting the horse at some point.
It's the same thing like DC Cab. That was one of my favorite comedy movies.
DC Cab!
DC Cab,
Real quick, how are you going to make...
Life of Brian. Life of Brian.
Same.
How are they going to make History of the World Part 2? Did you guys see that trailer?
They did. I fell asleep on it, but they did.
Oh, it came out already. That's not good marketing. It came out already. Rob, real quick, I wanted to add, a lot of people always, like, when they're the creatives, when they release something, they say they're the biggest fans and this and that, and you never see them around with the fans. I just want to say, man, that one thing I do really admire about you, that when I'm at a red carpet, you're there, even for small films. Big films, you're there. You're active on social media with inside takes on big films and small films. How has that helped you with everything you do? Because I feel that's what keeps you relevant all the time, that you're there on the battlegrounds with the nerds.
You know what? Louis, I'm just a fan. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is I just love this stuff. And I look at a premiere as early access. Look, I'm going to tell you, the guys I work with, they had to teach me the first time. They may have lied to me, but they said, Rob, the only reason you're here is you have to walk the red carpet. I said, I don't want to walk the red carpet. I don't want anybody taking my picture. I don't want to do any of that crap. And I've had to learn it, but I'm just doing it not to get my picture taken. I'm going for early access. I want to start like you. I want to see the movie 3 weeks early. And I'm driving up from Orange County, maybe like you, man. That freaking, the last one I went to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm like, this is why I don't go to these anymore. It took me 2.5 hours to get there. I'm leaving at 2:45 in the afternoon to pull in at 5:15, and traffic the whole way. But I wanted to see it early. I wanted to, that was a movie I was genuinely excited about. But Louis, look, the bottom line is, I'm just a fan. I don't view it or put it in a certain, category. I just go, this is, I think we'd all relate to. People complain a lot nowadays, and like let's say there's some Star Wars shows that are better than others. My little 9-year-old self goes, holy shit, there's Star Wars shows on TV. Like, when I was a kid, I'd be sitting outside in the sandbox going, oh man, I wish there was more Adventures of Star Wars. And now we're in overload, right? I mean, we have so much, and now we go, oh, that wasn't very, how about just it exists. How cool is that? How cool is it that we get $100 million special effects in the comfort of our own home, right? And some are great, like Andor, and some are really good, like certain Mandalorians. And I just take it. I just, even today, I'm going to tell you, I was reading reviews for the new indie movie, and I don't want to hear any of that shit. I'm going to see it. You can't dissuade me. And if you saw it and didn't like it, tough shit. I'm still going. I'm going to enjoy my ride with Harrison Ford in that role again. And, I saw some people telling me today, well, they liked it, but not as much as the first. How about you shut up and say you liked it? How about just shut up and say you liked it? You liked it. Great. You liked it. I don't need you to categorize it. I don't need to go, oh, I'm only going to go see Kellen's. I'm only going to go see the fourth favorite film in his filmography. Just say you liked it. Oh boy, look, these guys didn't like it. Oh, I got to downgrade it. But there are. Oh, I have family members that subscribe to that. Well, what did it get on Rotten Tomato?
Do you believe in that Rotten Tomato crap?
I don't, but people really, it has become a metric, right, that people make their decisions on. And I don't subscribe to that. I feel like this is all wonder and it's all awe, and not all of it's good. That's for sure. There are some big misses, but I've also learned, everybody tries to make these movies great. Nobody sets out to make a shit movie. So I hope you've noticed I've in the last decade, I've backed off. It's not my job to criticize. I praise what I praise. I try not to drag anything else. And also now I've been a kid who works in the industry. I have to really shut my mouth, like more than ever. So long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
That's awesome.
No, that's awesome. The other thing was, like, speaking of, like you said, Indiana Jones, any specific, summer movie are you looking forward to?
Well, that and Mission Impossible are really the only ones that I was looking forward to. And look, man, I think, nothing has dissuaded me. There is nothing that could possibly dissuade me from those films. And I know that I'm going to enjoy them to a certain extent. And look, you're never going to do better. You're never going to do better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. None of those other movies are better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's the best. It's going to it's default going to lose right off the bat. And again, I was 11 years old and I went and saw that with my dad. And, it was just mind blowing. Couldn't believe all the twists and turns and the reveals. And you're never going to get that for the first time again, just like you're never going to get Matrix for the first time when we all experience that. But then we kind of continue on and want to see further adventures. And I'm all for further adventures. Yay. Further adventures. Mission Impossible, I think, is going to deliver big time because of that incredible, camaraderie that Cruise and McQuarrie have. So, but
speaking of future,
go
ahead, Kelvin.
Rob, speaking of like, it's never going to be the first one, Raiders. Would you say the same thing about a film that you and I really fucking love from last year, Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Yeah,
Top Gun 2. Is it over Top Gun, the first one?
That's tough. No, I think. Look, it's over in the, obviously, the use of all the flex that they had with all of that hardware, those jets. That is the best aerial photography we've ever had, right? And that's because technology could bring us. But I don't think you're ever going to again walk into that world the first time. It was great revisiting it, and in Top Gun Maverick's case, we benefited from almost 40 years. It was seeing Maverick. I thought it was pitch perfect. The reason I related to it, two things: we've all been underestimated and told we're no good at some point. Yeah. And seeing Maverick buck the odds, and then it was a father and son film to me, man. Both times when T runs and knocks down Rooster and says, "I was saving your life." Then that moment, my family will go, "Oh God, Dad's got the last 20 minutes of Top Gun on again." I will sit down because I want to cry. Because I do it because I want to cry. Because when Rooster says, it's what my dad would have done. When Tom Cruise says, with all the sincerity of any line he's ever delivered, "Thank you for saving my life." It is, and that music is coming up, that score. But I wouldn't put one over the other. I wouldn't. I think they're each great. But again, I don't know how you have to have Top Gun to get to Maverick. So.
Well, I just want to add. Let me add one more thing to that because it's Maverick related. I was at CinemaCon I think like the second person I run into was I bumped it. I don't know if you remember. I was like, oh my God. And I turned around and I go, we were like, holy crap. And you go, that's the way you do a third act. We did it at the same time. That's a third act. But I remember watching it with you.
Yeah. And so I don't know that a computer would suddenly going back to the writer's strike. Hey, in the third act, we're going to go Mission Impossible for the first time in the Top Gun franchise. We're going to put them behind enemy lines without a plane, and then all the payoff for the first two acts of you're old and you're a relic. That's all they say to Tom Cruise is you're old, you're a relic. You should be put out to pasture. And then they get to a freaking old ass, plane. And now Rooster's like, this is old. This is a relic. We're never going to be able to fly this. You're a relic, flying a relic, outsmarting. That script is so perfect, right?
Fantastic.
And look, here's the deal. I was just having this conversation about Maverick at 11 a.m. this morning around the kitchen, the bar area. We were discussing it because it still resonates. They made every right choice. You can tell Tom Cruise would not let a studio executive ruin that movie. And I won't get any further into it, but it was just so perfect.
All right, so Rob, talking about further adventures, you teased us a little while ago that you were going to release a picture or like Deadpool 3 picture coming or some shit. What did it say? What did Twitter say?
So that's you all attaching something else to I said. I say a lot of vague shit because people like you are then going to put words in my mouth. I love you, man, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You cannot pull that quote up and go, I mean, I didn't quote tweet anything. I just said, set photos incoming. How do you know that's not what are you doing? What are you doing there? And I wasn't meaning to poke the bear. I just get excited sometimes. I'm very careful, and that's what I'm talking about. You are not going to pin me up against a wall. I am not getting down that road. Okay.
So I know that obviously, and I think you recently spoke to either MovieWeb or someone I was reading this morning. You kind of clarified it a little bit or said, hey, obviously there's a difference between 20th Century Fox and Disney.
I was thinking like a fox. Sometimes I think like a fox, and I forget I need to think like a mouse. Okay,
you got it. Got it. All right. Now there was also something that came out that said Ryan Reynolds is not allowed to ad lib in Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Any comment?
Well, see, I can't stand that kind of stuff because what that's doing is it's cast a negative light on something that's going on. All of that, I don't know what you categorize that. Is it link bait? But it's meant to alarm you. So that news is meant to alarm you. And basically what's baked into that is here's why you should be concerned about Deadpool 3, which then means, there's some alarm about Deadpool 3, which eventually boils down to, there's problems with Deadpool 3.
Oh, yeah. Well,
look, man, I know. So I got called before and after on Deadpool 2. I got read the line. Ryan was in the ADR booth, and he was about to voice over the entire Domino created by a guy who can't draw feet line. And he's like, hey, I wanted to run this by you. This doesn't offend you, right? And I mean, I'm like, I don't care. I think it's great. And then they put that line into the movie, and that footage was shot on a reshoot. When I was on set on Deadpool 2, the battle that took place in the truck where they're transporting Black Tom and Domino's catching it with her. She's on the scooter trying to catch up, and Cable is running with his gun on the street. That entire sequence, I saw a version, and they allowed me to record it. Now you're never going to see it because I can't release it, but I saw a version where Black Tom breaks out of his. And when I say, I mean, I was standing there as this occurred, as this was filmed, where Black Tom breaks out of his cell, and he and Ryan have a giant hand-to-hand combat, and Ryan cuts his hand off. I mean, Deadpool, and it's this great hand-to-hand combat. Well, it was my favorite thing that I saw while I was there. And earlier in that day, I saw Cable and Deadpool fight it out, in that same sequence. And so they showed the movie to test audiences. And I've got the email from Ryan said, Rob, great news. They love your babies. They love Cable. They love Domino. We are going back in March to shoot more footage of Cable and Domino and expand that scene. So you should be thrilled. And in those reshoots is when Cable is shooting Ryan at point blank and he's twirling and he can't catch all the bullets. So they're, shooting him and tearing his, that's all reshoots. And what I'm trying to say here is, and then they completely changed the Black Tom. He doesn't even get out of his cell anymore. They shoot him right through the glass, right? I mean, it's like, wow, they totally changed that. And they gave everybody else a little more. They gave more action to Cable did. Well, why am I telling you this? Because a movie is shot, assembled, tested. You guys all know this. But and then what people like, they go, we need more of this. Again, they build into the budget, we need more of this. So let's go back. We've got a week. We've got 10 days. We're going to add all this stuff specifically. And then that means new lines, new script, new voiceover, ADR. Again, ADR. And guys, the fact that tweet of mine got so many acknowledgments is somebody walked into a dark room and found the light switch and said, hey, here, see, it's that simple. Like it was such a common sense that no one was thinking, Ryan, where's the mask? Which means after the fact, he can on Deadpool 1 as well. I saw the second to last test. I saw the last test. They had different jokes, both of them coming out of his mouth, different voiceover. So the fact that they go, oh, Ryan Reynolds is going to be hamstrung and locked up and can't, that's bullshit. That's just not true. And so when I say there's real magic that happens in ADR, I just gave you 5 examples of something. All of those things I told you happened after principal photography. So yeah, there's a strike going on. It could end in the middle of production. The whole movie could be shot under the strike. And everything I just told you could still occur because there's, Ryan starts freestyling and he starts coming up with stuff. In one of the days on Deadpool 2, they filmed the painting when he's Bob Ross. That was filmed on an off day, and literally Ryan was yelling out to everybody, "Hey, anybody got another joke? Anybody got another joke? Throw it at me. I'll give it a shot." And he was asking people and because he's feeling it. He's like he's got his stand-up comedian energy going. So I just sit there and I go, why is, Ryan Reynolds will not be able, hey, Ryan can read exactly from the script during the movie, which is already a movie that's already been written, and he's, supervising that as a producer and everything else. So he signed off and all you guys know, I have friends who had to hand in the final scripts for their season 3 shows, and their season 2s haven't aired, but they all had to put them in before midnight, May 1st. So a couple of my friends said, "Hey, Rob, I can't talk to you for 2 weeks. I've got to get a season's worth of." I'm doing the third passes on all these scripts to get them in because the studio is shooting. They've up the schedule this summer to shoot, so that we have content. So all these scripts. Deadpool 3 was vetted and vetted and vetted and vetted. And by the time we hear about a rewrite, that's already happened. A new writer came on board. The 4th writer came on board. Well, that means that's done. That was written. So they locked it, right? Your audience should know a locked script means they're ready to shoot. And anything else that changes, and a lot is going to change. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot is going to change. You guys all know this. They're going to make that movie. Like the other 2 Deadpools, like any Marvel movie, they're going to test it. Stuff that people like, they're going to do more. Stuff that people like, they're going to edit out. That's it. And I just think it's a practical way of looking at modern day filmmaking, and no one wanted to apply that logic. So when I said it, look, that's the other thing, man. I did not know that would get so much play. I'm trying to explain to people, like basically, hey, don't worry. But suddenly it's this giant egregious statement I've made. And then I was told I was backing scabs and,
wow.
I got all, everything I say, everything
You're all sensitive nowadays. That's a problem.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, when you look at your Wikipedia quote, they say you're one of the controversial figures in the comic book industry.
and I like literally, I go, I don't know why, except that then here you got to understand, and I've always really applied this, and I've understood it. So I can like Allen Iverson. 20 years ago, I can admire him and think he is one badass basketball player with incredible skills, instincts. Then he comes to play. True story, and this is going to have some name dropping in it, but it's the only way I get there in the way I am at that time. I've got a movie that I'm working now on, like year 4 with Will Smith at the time, and so Will Smith, literally, kid you not, the afternoon of Game 1. 2001, the Lakers repeat season with Kobe and Shaq. He says, Rob, I've got an extra seat behind the Philly bench. Do you want this ticket? I said, I'll be up right now. Like, I literally said, bye, see ya, to my wife and my kid at the time. Boom, see ya. Drove up. There it was. Me and another guy at Will Smith's company. I was 2 rows behind the Philadelphia Sixers, and I was sitting next to a gentleman named Pat Croce, who was the president of operations for the Philadelphia 76ers. To put this in perspective, the Lakers had not lost a game in the 2001. They swept Portland. They swept the Spurs. I forget and they swept Sacramento. It was Portland, Sacramento, Spurs. Swept. And we're undefeated. Allen Iverson shows up Game 1 in LA in Staples Center. They go to overtime, and he hands the Lakers their first loss, and I'm sitting next to the president. Will has floor seats. Will and his partner are on the floor with their Philly gear cheering because they're all from Philly, cheering for Philly. But that night, I wanted Allen Iverson dead. I wanted him nailed on a cross. I wanted him like out of commission. I wanted his leg broken. I didn't want any more Allen Iverson. This guy, I have tremendous respect for him, but I had sports hate. I had tremendous sports hate for him. Right now, if the Denver Nuggets woke up and their hotel fell into the middle of the earth, I wouldn't mind. I'd be like, awesome. I have no love for Jokic. I have no love for those guys. They beat my team. Okay, people in comics pick favorites. Kobe was controversial. I'm not, other than his off the court, but even on the court, ball hog, all this stuff. Kobe, LeBron. Everyone has their detractors. There are people who absolutely hate Tom Brady. Comic book people and sports people, because again, you even get to my guy at my local shop will go, oh, you're a Marvel guy. And it's like a dirty thing. Oh, you're a Marvel guy. Yeah, we're a DC store. What? Like, I just want to buy my shit. And how about you and I not? Why don't you not be a Marvel guy and not tell me I'm in a DC store? Oh, we're a DC store. We do better. Okay, I don't really care. I like, that's why I'm like, oh no, I'm going to go see Kelvin's 4th least favorite Indiana Jones. That's not going to make okay? I don't care if you're a DC store. I just want my comics, okay? But we tend to categorize, and what I'm telling you is, comics is a lot like sports. People pick their favorites, and then they hate, like the Batman people hate the X-Men people. The Batman people are the Superman people are super jealous of the Batman people. They're like, we remember when Superman was the guy. Well, that's cool. Okay. And it's just, so I know I've never really understood why I'm controversial. I think I was young. I was super successful. I didn't fit in the box they wanted me to fit in. I obviously have a lot of energy. And here's the other thing I'm going to tell you right now. Look right here. I will outwork your ass. I will outwork all of you. And I mean, not you, but everybody. My detractors, I roll up my sleeves. I love what I do. I have tremendous passion. So I am going to continue. You're not going to stop me. I think people have tried to, I've always said they try and make me miss my free throws. My kids, I couldn't believe the parents and my kids when they were doing travel ball, what some moms and dads would do to get our kids to miss free throws so they could win a useless game on a Saturday afternoon. But you go, wow, look at that lady, man. She really wants my kid. And my son, he never missed. But this woman, she stood 8 feet in front of him and jumped and banged and in boom, boom. He did not deter. And I tell my kids, and it's in my career too. The detractors, they just want me to miss my free throws. They want to get in my head, and trust me, I've met people, I've taken calls. Rob, hey, it's so-and-so. I know you handle criticism really well. People are criticizing me right now. I don't know how to handle it. I'm like, that's because me and Tom McGuire know that you're not from Gen X, okay?
So, hey, Rob, before we cut it off soon, I know you're giving us a lot of time. Thank you. Yeah. But I know you can't give us a whole lot on Deadpool 3. We know that. You're not going to spoil anything.
The stuff I know would melt your face. All right? That's all I'm going to say. It melts your face.
Now, but it's funny. You go online and, someone interviews Tom Holland. And what else is Tom Holland going to say, right? Tom Holland says, oh, shit, I would love to work with Hugh Jackman and fucking Ryan Reynolds. Well, who wouldn't? You could ask anyone, right? But have you ever seen one of these headlines and you're like, oh shit, who is this? Oh, another clickbait. We got this covered. Giant freaking robot making this bullshit stories up, but do they ever get close? Like there's a lot of rumors of some legacy X-Men characters might be showing up.
I see what you're doing. Look, here's the deal, guys. You know what? I was very honored. Mr. Feige reached out to me late last summer, wanted my input on some decisions. Then we had a follow-up meeting with the producers. I was just honored that they wanted to have my input. I knew, and they would say, we're considering a lot of different roads, a lot of different paths. Some stuff I was aware of I had to be quiet before it was announced. And I knew, that Hugh and Ryan were getting back together for Wolverine 3. And again, I've been very fortunate that people put stuff in front of me, and I'm like, just trust me. All I'm saying is I saw that cast list, and I think people are gonna just they're gonna get blown away, and I'm not saying shit more than what I just said. but I just think you have every reason in the world. I think the time in between the movies will serve Deadpool well. Look, here's the deal. When Fox bought Disney, there was a lot of, I had an entire wing that just died. So trust me, nobody had more of a reason to be like, I'm meeting with Josh Brolin for breakfast one morning because he's such a generous guy. And then I came up in like jeans and a like a polo shirt. And then he's like, hey, drive me to the gym. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep my car parked here. Drive me to the gym. And the next thing I know, I'm at Gold's Gym in Santa Monica, or what, and I'm like, I can't go in there. He's like, yeah, come on in. I'm like, I'm dressed like a business person. And then I sat there, and people, because Brolin got ripped for cable, right? And this was in between the reshoots. And so he's going back and getting these reps. And when we were at breakfast, when we were driving, I don't mind telling you this, he was super excited about the X-Force movie. He and Drew Goddard had met, and there was all sorts of stuff that was going to go, and they were going to expand X-Force. Then I caught up with Drew Goddard at the 2019 Critics' Choice Awards, because Deadpool, I've got to keep a straight face, Deadpool was up for a bunch of awards. I can't believe I'm like at this table with all these incredible, like I'm in this room with like the greatest actors of all time, and like we're at the Deadpool 2 table. So I'm like, yeah, we're bringing it. But the thing is, the movie didn't win anything. But anyway, but obviously Deadpool 2 was a great movie and it was fun. But I pulled Drew Goddard aside and I said, how's it looking? And he's like, Rob, I'm just waiting to hear. But let's be honest, it's Disney is going to have different plans. And so obviously in 2019, that was a kick in the gut. And then, but like time passes and there's been no Deadpool and there's been no Fox anything. And I just think that the timing couldn't be better. I think it's 7 years. Is it going to be 7 years between Deadpool 2?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a long time. And I think the audience will be great, ready for it. And I'm going to get in trouble. My wife, so we have a Deadpool 2 poster in one of the rooms here in the house. And the other day my wife goes, have you read that poster lately? I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, look at the bottom, the slug line. It says from the studio that killed Wolverine. Like, and she goes, is the new movie going to be from the studio that brought him back? And I'm like, wow, Joy, you should get a job writing copy. Because, I mean, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Like, it is true. Like, hey, on their way out, we killed Wolverine. And now the first Fox movie back. Hello, everyone. We brought him back. So it's pretty funny. I think that's pretty funny.
Hey, Rob, with all the comic book like Kevin Feige at Marvel, what are your thoughts on James Gunn and his mission with DC? Do it. Show us what you got, right? I mean, I the one thing I can sit here and talk whimsically and positively, and I'm just trying to put in all the positive vibes about anything Deadpool related, because obviously that franchise means so much to everybody, and I think no matter what, it's going to make people smile. So, but when it comes to everything else, I try not to speculate. I try and go in and I want to have a good time, and I love the DC catalog. I think they're wildly under. So I'll close with this. You know what? So I was talking to my wife again, because she's my confidant. I tell her everything, and we have all these long talks because I'm home all day drawing, and I can just go into any other room and sit down and go, hey, what's up? And drop my thoughts. And the thing that we were talking about is, like, Kevin Feige has been the driving force behind Marvel and DC, okay? Up until Avengers, well, first of all, Iron Man sent the shot around the world that scared the shit out of Warner Brothers, just straight up, because they were fine that summer. And I remember one of my Warner Brothers, a very high up executive said, "You're making too big of a deal about Iron Man. Just wait till The Dark Knight. You'll see what a successful comic book movie is." And you know what? They were right. I mean, for all of Iron Man's success in the summer of 2008, Dark Knight was monster. When my mom, like 75 years old, I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight, Mom?" "I'm going to see Dark Knight." I go, "Have you ever seen a Batman movie?" "Oh, I've got to see Heath Ledger's last performance." Holy crap. That's why I'm like, 75-year-old Patty Liefeld was getting in her car to go with her other 75-year-old friend so that they could. I'm like, I've never even done a follow-up with her, because I'm like, I don't want to have that. Like, "Hey, Mom, so what did you think of Dark Knight?" But she's like, "I'm going." And she went. I know she went. My sister told me she went. But so then 4 years later, Warner Brothers was just confident, like, nothing Marvel can put forth will dent us. We have the fast lane. And then Avengers 2012, I'm going to go again that morning, Saturday morning. I'd already seen the movie, but we were taking the kids, and there were two, I swear to you, the oldest people I've ever seen that were going to a movie. I mean, these are geriatrics in the 80s, and they're in front of me getting coffee. And the lady says, "Are we going to be able to make the movie on time?" And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, no, we have plenty of time. I just can't wait to see the Avengers on film." And I'm like, holy shit, these old ass geriatrics going to see Avengers on opening weekend. And so, you know, we all know how packed those theaters were. It crossed over, and Avengers suddenly hit the $1 billion club, and Dark Knight, all of the crazy controversy around the shooter, and that was terrible. That happened the night Dark Knight.
Aurora, yeah.
The Aurora stuff obviously was a factor, but you could just feel that regardless. Now Avengers was in the top. Marvel had the top franchise. It was now making more money than Christopher Nolan's Batman films, which were classy and respectable, and they were, artsy, and they were held in aloft and very special. And suddenly, you guys saw it. Everything Marvel did following, hit it out of the park, big numbers, and it screwed up DC. And, we all saw Man of Steel. I for one, loved it, but immediately it was like, oh, we thought this was going to make more money. We thought this was going to do better. And immediately the performance basis, and I'm going to tell you, because all my friends at Marvel, they knew it. They knew exactly what they could do to rattle Warner Brothers all the time. And they'd be like, nope, I had one of them sit down, and we now read about it openly, talk about taking over screens. Rob, Warner Brothers is going to have to fight us all year long. We're Disney. We've already got the IMAX wrapped up. We've got the special screens. They're going to maybe get a week or 2 weeks. We get them back. Like, they were fighting this on every level, not just creative, but theater screens, locking them down. And what happened with Feige and what happened with Marvel is Warner Brothers reacted for 10 years. And it was, oh my gosh, we've got to compete because we used to be the dominant. We used to own that space. And I just go, I would love to see James Gunn create and carve out his own niche that does their own thing that belongs to them exclusively. Because look, it's been how many years? 14 years of Marvel dominance, and they do. You cannot. And I don't. The most ardent DC person watching this, guess what? I'm a giant DC Comics fan too. Half of my collection is DC Comics. Marvel has dictated all the terms. They dictate all the terms, and then the thing was, the studio that was starting to dictate terms to them was Fox. And I'm going to tell you right now, that 3-year run of Deadpool 1, Logan, and Deadpool 2, that's 3 consecutive years of R-rated content that suddenly broke Fox out of the mold that they were in. They weren't perfect. They still had some stumbles. But a Marvel guy came to me and said, oh, shit. Word for word. Oh, shit. Now, freaking Fox was crawling around in the dark, bumping into the walls, and now they've got a flashlight. They finally got a flashlight. They've got their R-rated X-Men movies. It's killing us. He goes, it's killing us. We didn't see this coming. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, they're aware. You don't think how you have to understand how ruthlessly competitive this town is. So my long-winded story, I just wanted, when I say something like Kevin Feige was the driving force behind both studios, he was. Warner Brothers has been reacting to, he has literally controlled both studios just by his presence. And so to James Gunn, I wish him all the best. He's super talented. And like I said, I hope there's something fresh that comes out of this. I know he's launching with Superman. I hope it works. Superman's my favorite DC character. He deserves to be back on the top. He's my favorite comic book character in the DC catalog and one of the greatest superheroes ever in the existence of the field. So, I wish him well, but it's tough. I mean, right? It's a tough nut.
Yeah.
I know we got to wrap it up, and I'm concerned, right, with the whole. I wish James a lot of success. I'm a huge DC. Superman is my guy. He's my favorite character of all time, right? I love Superman. But I think on the business sense, just even little things that happen, CNN's Chris Light got the boot, right, because things are not going well with Warner Brothers Discovery. Right. So the big question is, what else is going to happen, right? Is there going to be, are they going to hold, back a little bit because they're afraid of all the money that they've lost on the CNN side? What are they going to do on the Warner Brothers? I mean, there's so much going on. This is for another day, but I hope.
Dude, look, that's now you see the big picture. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, when they were like, they kind of sidestep it. And in that CNN Chris Light story, they say about like when Zaslav took over, it's like he pulled the curtain back and the finances weren't as they had presented them. And we all saw how like there was a fire sale and firings and everybody, you're fired.
Yeah, you're fired. Everybody got fired.
Cutting costs and saving money. So yeah, that's big picture thinking, man. There's a lot of pressure. It is. But again, and who put that pressure there? Kevin Feige, who had the best 10-year run I've ever seen anybody have in the history of cinema. And that includes all of our heroes, right? I mean, they could not afford a misstep, and they had very few of them through what is it? Was Endgame the end of phase 3? Was that the end of phase 3? Am I right? I lose track of it.
Yes.
I know phase 4 has been bumpy for them. I even hate calling it phase 4, but it's a fast way to get this out there. But look, Marvel's got to keep making really interesting movies. Look, here's my thing too, and I'm not moving off of it. I saw Jon Favreau say what I said to my guys at Extreme Studios when he was doing the roundtable for Mandalorian, and it blew me away because I'm like, oh my gosh, we're the same guy. And we are the same age. And he talked about how disappointed he was when he went and saw Return of the Jedi. Now we're saying that being 9-year-olds that saw Star Wars in the theater, me and Favreau. But he had the same reaction I did. Oh, it's another Death Star, another lightsaber battle with Darth Vader. And instead of Wookiees, we're getting Ewoks. And what he really said is, by that time, he wasn't 9, he was 15. I was 15. I had already seen Alien by Ridley Scott. I'd seen Blade Runner. I wanted more R-rated tastes. And suddenly, from 16 to 20, I got Predator, RoboCop, the follow-up to Alien, right? Aliens. I got, all the R-rated Die Hard, Lethal Weapon. People forget those were all R-rated movies. Total Recall. My kids are growing up. My boys are growing up, and they're growing out of PG-13 movies. And it'll be interesting, given that Deadpool has the R rating, to see how it matures with an audience that literally, come on, if it's 7 years from Deadpool 2, you're 9 years from Deadpool 1. It's almost going to be a full decade. But I think that, and it's a reason why The Boys has done so well, because I saw my boys go, holy crap, this is way better. This is what we want, more mature stuff. We grow up, we're not little boys anymore. We want to be titillated. We want to be shocked. We want mature, action, violence, sex. So, as long as comic books, they just need to grow and expand the comic book movies. And you know what? Hopefully, in the next decade, my peers, we get our comic book movies made, which I can't imagine our stuff being PG-13. But like I said, The Boys helps out tremendously. The Invincible cartoon helps out tremendously. It's more mature. It's more violent. It's more, just more mature, kind of covers all of it. So I'm sorry, I just went off on a little bit of a tangent,
That's
but
fine.
It's just the from my own kids. I never thought my son and his entire varsity basketball team that I would be buying for his 16th birthday IMAX tickets for them to all see, Civil War. But that's what happened. And I was like, Joy, when I was a kid in high school, nobody celebrated superheroes. But look we got our power forward, our center, everyone, our starting guard, our shooting guard, all the backups, they're all about to go in and they've got their Captain America shirts on and they got their Marvel stuff on. But that's in the past. They want to grow. They want to expand.
Let me ask you something, Rob. What do you think, speaking about, the comic book genre, what do you think comic book movie genre has to do to stay relevant nowadays, especially with the box office and the critical,
Shock us. They need to shock us. Dark Knight shocked us. Avengers shocked us because, holy crap, it's a super team that works. We've never seen all those characters together on a scale like that. Deadpool shocked us. Logan shocked us. Guardians of the Galaxy #1 shocked us. That 2014 movie is perfect. It is irreverent. No one saw it coming. I'm just telling you, they got to keep, as a fan, you got to keep elevating. The thing that separates Maverick from Top Gun is, again, the immense scope. They went way bigger. Like those aerial combat scenes, you guys, I haven't seen a movie in a theater 12 times since Star Wars. And my wife's like, are we really going to see it again? Yeah, but I got us like the PDX
4K, yeah.
The RPX.
To keep my family engaged, I had to keep picking more ramped up. At one point, I'm like, it's just me and my wife, and I paid $70 to see Top Gun and Maverick. I'm like, no wonder Tom Cruise is going around like, I need these screens next year. I need this, because that's where, man, those upgrades, right? But you just got to keep expanding. That's my take. Look, you guys, I'm just a fan. I've been fortunate that I have had tremendous success in my career. I'm going on my 38th year in comic books. Like I said, I'm going to close this the way we opened it. My comic book came out. Comic books are in this weird position, but people showed up in droves. They sold me out. They sold Deadpool Batter Blood. And you know what? I leaned into what I knew how to do. Big visuals, action-based stories, lots of motion. Today's comics, I've seen a bunch of them. I go into the comic store, a lot of talking heads, a lot of shots that are pulled back, that aren't terribly, motion oriented, but I stuck to what I did. One guy goes, oh my gosh, I had to turn the comic sideways twice. And you're going to do more of that as we go. I'm just having a great time. I am pushing the envelope because no one is making comics the way I'm making comics. But I said, like the spirit of Jack Kirby, what would Jack do? Jack would not sit around and just do the status quo. He always created comics with punch. And so, here I am 38 years into the business, and I'm fortunate that the fans still come along with me on these rides. I'm super grateful. I love sharing my opinions with you guys. Thank you for having me on your show.
Dude, absolutely. It's been an honor.
Let's see how it all turns out. I wish James Gunn the best. I hope Deadpool 3 kicks all the ass. I'm a positive guy.